Hello friends, Sarah Sunstone here, and welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. In today's episode, I'll be doing a full breakdown of the Animula Nook reveal trailer and sharing my thoughts on this incredible looking upcoming life simulation game that was just announced. If you have yet to see my initial reaction to this trailer, I'll have my previous video linked in the description for your reference to watch first, but otherwise, without any further ado, let's get right into it. The very first frame really sets the tone for the whole concept of this game because in Animula Nook, you're going to be playing as a character that has been shrunk down to be very tiny and to live in this world where everything else is then giant. You're going to be surrounded by common household objects, but you're going to be seeing everything from a different perspective. And it does seem like the team has gotten a lot of inspiration for this game just by simply looking at their own desks. So I think that's really neat, and what a great way to start off the trailer. Now, a couple things here to note is that you can actually see some of the characters that will be living alongside on the desk here. So over on the left, we have the Whoopa, which is the cute little puffball cat, which will sort of act as our companion, and we'll be able to choose from, a number of different designs in the beginning of our gameplay, and then we'll also be able to use them as a glider by, the end of their tail. So that's kind of a unique spin on that. We can also see some cute little post-its with doodles of some of the NPC characters that we'll encounter later. Over on the right here, we can also see some little tiny cube-shaped cat critters, which will make an appearance later on in the trailer. And then just next to them, there's also these wooden wind-up type robot almost looking little toys. They're so cute. And there's also a sketch for this toy down on the notebook here on the desk. There's also a little post-it with a cute little cat critter on here. And then over to the right, there's some post-its with some of the human-like NPCs or like doll-like NPCs. So yeah, the desk is just covered in a lot of the characters and NPCs who we're going to meet in our gameplay, which is such a nice touch. And you can actually see the little Whoopa cat as a phone charm, which leads us into this next frame where you can get a better look at it up close. It is so cute. Everything is so nice and textured. And yes, this is a CGI portion of the trailer, so it is, more polished in that regard. But the gameplay itself does also have a really high level of polish and texture and all of that, and, vibrant colors. So it doesn't feel like it's such a huge discrepancy between the CGI and the gameplay from what we've seen so far, which I appreciate. There's honestly nothing worse than having this beautiful cinematic introduction to a trailer, and then the gameplay looks literally nothing like it. It's always so disappointing. So I appreciate that they've brought the gameplay up to that high quality polished level. So it is definitely a closer match. Now, this entire intro sequence is showing our character before they get shrunk down and enter into that world of the miniatures. So I really like how this is setting up the story too. It looks like we live in the city. You can see a cityscape in the background. And once again here, we can see a couple little plushies who will be NPCs in the game. So we have a cute little bunny up here, and we have a little cat hanging off of the fridge door. I also just love the character slippers. They're so cute. A little detail that might have flashed right before your eyes is they actually have the name and logo of the game on this carton of milk, which I think is just such a nice little touch. It goes by so fast though that you barely notice it. And then once again, they do have a bunny-like character here who kind of resembles a lot of the NPCs we'll see in the miniature village. Now, in this introduction sequence, there is a clip of this guitar, and at first I thought it was just kind of a random set piece, but the more I've watched of the trailer and the gameplay, the more I think I'm seeing a theme of music. So it does seem like we're going to be able to play music on our own, maybe with the other NPCs, maybe with other players. So there does seem to be some significance here. They've also shown a clip of the player character gathering resources, and there were musical notes as a portion of that specific process. So it's still very much a mystery as to what role music will play in the grand scheme of things in this game, but I do think it does have significance. And then here we get to see our character before they get shrunk down, just kind of lounging in the living room, listening to some music, staring out the window, just kicking back. And again, there's lots of household objects here that we will see make reappearances throughout the trailer and throughout the gameplay. So this part of the trailer is when it starts to transition towards entering that miniature world. So it almost looks like we're in space, but there's like water and like this rainbow river. And there's a bunch of details and characters that are also going to become, miniature with us. So once again, we have that bunny. We have the Whoopa cat wearing the little hat. There's a puppy in the background as well. And then over here, you can actually get the first look at the bus that's going to be taking us like around the different maps and different biomes and stuff. So we actually see it very early on here. And then it's very interesting here because we actually see the little tiny Whoopa cat has been shrunk down before anyone else. And they kind of have this trail of pixie dust. And it almost seems like they're the source of all of this, and they kind of throw a bunch of magical pixie dust on everything in the environment, which then all proceeds to get shrunk down to be the miniature size. So over on the left here, you see a bag, and later on you'll see that there are houses made out of bags, the bus again up here, the wind-up toys, the bunny. So this is kind of just like a vortex of basically fun toys and household objects. So now us as the player character, we've shrunk down, everything else is following suit, and the Whoopa cat is guiding us into this kind of new adventure. So it does very much seem like this cat-like creature is our guide. It does seem like they'll be a big part of the tutorial as well and onboarding us into the world. So that all, tracks. And this is our first official glimpse at what the world is going to look like. So almost everywhere you look here, you're going to see something you recognize, but implemented in a unique way. So for example, there are little green balls of yarn that are lining the streets that look like bushes. There are pencils that are holding up little flags. There's like a watering can or a teacup or something that's, been transformed into a bus stop. There's a chip clip that's holding up, the signage for this building, which probably isn't a building. It's probably some kind of other, household object. Every item has been thought out. It's not just there to be there. It's like something from our universe that is being used in a different way, right? So some things have been shrunken down, others have stayed, their usual size, but now instead of like a yarn ball being a yarn ball, it's a bush, so it serves a different purpose. Here you can also see like a ton of different characters. I'm just going to be calling them all NPCs, so non-playable characters, but there's a good variety. Like there are different animals. There are also different like doll-like, human-like characters too. So like over here, we have a little puppy with glasses. I believe there's another dog here with a bow. And then right here, this is actually a doll-like character. There's another doll-like character back here. And then also over on the right, we have a doll-like character up here with little pigtails and then a bunny NPC. There's also some cat NPCs back here, some other doll-like characters, another bunny. Like there's just a ton of them. Though I do think, and this is just speculation, I do think some of the characters here are other players. And I'm basing this on a few things, which we'll talk about like throughout the trailer. But one of them is their height. So there is this character in like the pink dino suit, and there's also one skateboarding over here. And these characters, along with our character, they're taller than the doll-like NPCs. So I think that does set them apart. Alongside the fact that it does seem like we will have access to a skateboarding ability as a player. So that's another clue there that tips us off to these potentially being other actual players. I love how it seems like the different vehicles run with like wind-up keys. I think that's so fun. And there's a bunch of cute little shops and businesses here. It's kind of hard to say what they could be. The one on the right looks like it could definitely be a bakery. And again, the one on the left seems like it could be a bus stop. Then we get a close-up at some of these cute little wooden robot toys. They're so adorable. And they're actually pushing a wheelbarrow of bottle caps and buttons. And then this guy has a little backpack of like miniature yarn balls or something like that, maybe twine. And I just love all the textures on everything here. It looks so great. Looks like they're actually going across a crosswalk, and then a wind-up truck goes by, which is carrying like a bunch of pencils, which is just, so cute. I honestly can't get over how cute everything is. And just to backtrack a bit, it does look like our player character has some kind of like a map with them of maybe the town or the surrounding areas. And they're just holding on to that, as they arrive and start to explore. I do also want to point out this little lineup of characters here. They are so cute. I mean, who is this little puppy? Oh, she is fabulous. She's got shades. She's got a bow. She's got a cute little crossbody bag. She's definitely a baddie. And then we have this cute little down-to-earth looking bunny. And then like a little robot bunny over here too. So I love the diversity of these like animal characters and how vibrant and unique they all are. I do think, again, we have some of the dolls back here. And then this could be another like player character. And then once again here, this could be another player, especially because here this character is actually next to their own little Whoopa cat, and what I believe is actually a tool that we're going to be using in our gameplay down here. It's like a collection kind of tool. In the next frame, the player character is, keeping an eye on the map to figure out where to go next. There are these two cats. We saw these ones earlier in the regular world before they were shrunk down. There was one on the fridge. And this one's actually holding a lollipop, which is going to be another one of our tools that we use in gameplay, which we'll use for breaking things and building things even. In the background, it looks like there's a cute little cafe that we're passing by. And then, we bump into the cats and they point us in the right direction so we can actually, get to our destination. Then we see the bus, which seems like it'll be what is taking us from, point A to point B when we're going even like around the town, but also outside into like different biomes. It seems like this will kind of be like the fast travel system. And we see these cute little critters getting off the bus. I don't know what they are, but I love them. This one looks like a little candle, and this one's holding like a little bundle of pins. This one has like, I think it's maybe a pencil. Like they just have little objects. It's so cute. And so I don't know if these little guys might actually be helpers with construction projects, or perhaps they'll have some kind of other specialized role to help us out in our gameplay. Now, this perspective could be what we see when we kind of enter the fast travel system. This could be gameplay. This over here is the bus stop that we can interact with to pull out the map. And then we'll select our destination and, we'll go there. So we get in the bus, and this is where we learn that this town is called the Starside Homestead. So this seems like it'll be our home base. This is kind of like the main village. This is likely where our house will be, and perhaps where some of the like NPC or villager houses will also be, along with like the shops and services. So again, that home base kind of feel. We do see the time moving forward. It does also show that it's daytime and then it moves to nighttime. So we can kind of get a little glimpse at how the lighting will change when it's nighttime. It looks so beautiful. The lighting is so well done in this trailer. And we sort of just get to see, everything go by, the little miniatures living their lives. Over to the left here, we do see this little candle critter supervising a construction project, so there's some more evidence that they could be involved with that role. There's more like yarn balls, there's jars, there's a teapot, there's scissors, like there's just so much once again to look at. It's so fun to just look at everything. The little wooden robots are also, lifting this light bulb up, so they could have a special role as well that could help us somehow in our gameplay. In the next frame, we get to take a peek at a different season, so it's really interesting to see that they will be implementing some kind of seasonal differences in the town, not just in terms of like the decorations, but kind of in terms of weather. So we do have what appears to be snow here. Now I'm imagining this is not actual snow. It's probably like something snow-like. Maybe it's that like fake snow you can get. Maybe it's some powdered sugar. I'm sure they will have lore for it because everything is so well thought out, but I absolutely love that they are not skipping out on seasons due to the setting of this game. They are including that, and I do hope to also see the autumn season too. I don't know how they would implement like changing color of trees or falling leaves, but I would love to see an autumnal vibe here too. But I think this is so precious, and I absolutely love how the little seasonal touches transform the town. This actually looks like it's probably a snow globe that's missing like the globe part. It's just the base. And it does actually look like it's snowing. So again, I'm curious, did, a bag of icing sugar get sat in front of a fan, which is now like dispersing the powdered sugar all over the town? Or, who knows? Maybe it's just magic, but I love it regardless. Maybe the window got left open and it's actual snow, because here we do see some like beautiful little flowers floating in through the sky. And this shot gives us a beautiful overview of the Starside Homestead from a top-down perspective. You can see like all the different buildings here. This is that bag I was talking about in the introduction that has been turned into like a little bus stop. There's a coffee grinder over here, which is potentially another little building. This is actually the street where we were walking down in the beginning, because you can see this like mug-like structure over here. So the intro sequence was taking place down this street right here. And this is really interesting because here you'll actually see the player character grabbing onto one of these flowers and using it as a glider. So we will be able to glide around in this game. That's part of our gameplay. However, initially you're going to start actually by using your Whoop-A-Cat as the glider. And we will see that because we're going to see some other, once again, who I believe are other player characters coming into the frame here. This one on the right is holding onto the tail of the Whoop-A-Cat. This is another variant of the cat you can get. There's many different color variants. Over on the left, this character has a different type of glider, so this does seem like it could be something we can customize, and it's nice to know that if we do choose to switch up our glider, our Whoop-A-Cat can still come with us on the adventure, so it's not like we're leaving them behind or anything like that. We're just, switching up the customization of that glider and giving their tail a probably much needed break. But this clip does kind of show how we will be able to actually venture outside of the walls of this room, so you won't be confined to this one homestead area. You can go out on adventures as well. And here we get our first glimpse of what that might actually look like. And if this is another player, it looks like we might be able to take on these adventures with others. This is a little icon that they have for the different emotes. So it looks like there might be some interactive emotes as well, which is lovely, especially if we are going to be playing in multiplayer. And so the other player flings us out into like the garden, it looks like. And we also actually have a grapple ability. So we can activate that and to grapple off of these big, beautiful leaves to propel us further into the environment. And this looks like it could actually be on a patio. It looks like the name of this map or this area is called the Beautiful Époque. And in the background, we can actually see like the Eiffel Tower. So it looks like it is set in Paris. And this is a beautiful, beautiful little dining setup here. It's giving like a little bistro kind of moment. This is really exciting because instead of looking at this as a table we're going to sit down at, we're looking at it from the perspective of what can we discover walking around on it from our miniature size. So here we get that perspective. We're now on this table and we are being followed by these little characters, which I believe are kind of similar to those little cube-shaped cat type things we saw on the desk in the very first frame of the trailer. It's so cool to see all of these foods from this different perspective, all these like teapots and cups and like different types of dishes and cutlery. Now I do think this is a gameplay demo here. We can see our character's like stamina bar on the left hand side here. So when we're doing different things like gliding, probably like skateboarding, we probably will only have a limited time for that before we would have to take a rest and then, reactivate that power. I thought it was interesting that we are like skateboarding on a piece of cheese. I don't know if this is just specific to this stage or if it is a customization we can get for our skateboard, because we will be able to use that skateboarding ability, it seems like. So yeah, we're just skateboarding down this dinner table on a little wedge of cheese, which is just so funny. So when we get over here, we have a little shovel that actually looks like a spork of sorts, and it has that stamina bar again. So we are shoveling the cheese and collecting it as a resource, and it's going into these little wheelbarrows that these cute little robots are carting around. So these look like they could be little helpers as well. And then this is who I believe would be another one of the doll type NPCs. Then they show us another environment, and I believe this is Whoopa Woods. We're traveling down this river in these cute little teacups. And the teacups are being pulled by like little crocodiles wearing top hats, which is a crazy concept, and I'm here for it. And this clip is actually really interesting because it looks like we are working in collaboration with two other players. So the player at the center has a slingshot, and they use this to target a lily of the valley flower, which then releases two things. There is a bit of pixie dust, I'm gonna call it, which is like a golden light. And then there's also this purple, corrupt almost looking energy. Now the player on the left has that little jar tool that we saw earlier when the character was like performing on the stage with their cat, and they're going to collect that golden light. Meanwhile, the player on the right has the lollipop tool, and they're gonna give a whack to the purple energy, which could be seen as like the good and the bad. We do see two other things during this process. One is that a musical note is kind of released here from the flower. So again, that music theme is being tied in, and I'd love to learn more about that. We will actually talk a little bit more about that in a future video because there was an 8-minute gameplay demo that was also shared, and I have reacted to that. If you guys would like to take a look at that, that'll be linked in the description as well. But I am going to do a full breakdown on that video as well. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel with your notifications on for more Animula Nook content. So the next thing that is confirmed here is that when this character bottles up the golden light, they're actually collecting something called sparkling pollen. So that is some sort of resource we can collect. We don't yet know how we're going to use it. But once again, we repeat this process over here. Slingshot the lily of the valley flower, releases the 2 types of energy. One player collects the pollen, the other player gives a whack to whatever that purple stuff is. So that's very interesting. So then we get to see that this area or map is called Whoopa Woods, and we are showing this beautiful like tea party, picnic-esque kind of setup, which again would just be so fun to actually explore like atop the table. Here we get to see it from another viewpoint, and we actually see a couple like little characters jumping atop the flowers. So it's that nice reminder that we are actually so small in this game that we can literally walk on flowers. There's actually a little character here holding on to this flower and actually climbing up the stem. And as we step on these flowers, little bits of pollen are kind of releasing everywhere. So this does seem like it's a pretty significant resource that we'll be collecting. I don't know if it will be used for like exchanging for something, for crafting as a currency. Like we don't know that yet, but it does seem like we will be collecting pollen as at least one of our resources. It's also nice to see like the different outfits on the different characters because there will be a pretty good amount of customization from what we've seen so far. And I love seeing like lots of different outfits that we can choose from. Speaking of customization, next we're going to get into the little decorating and building portion of the trailer. So this is back at the homestead. And here the player character is setting up their house. It looks so cute. It almost looks like a bakery. And then it looks like we have this specific area to design within. So we do have to keep in mind we have neighbors, we have businesses around. So we're not going to have like unlimited space to design, but we have a good amount of space for sure. And it does look like the designing will be done from the third-person player perspective, which I personally really like in games if it's done well. And not only will we be able to decorate, but it looks like we'll also have the ability to build structures to some extent. Like here we see the character putting together this cute little patio gazebo kind of structure piece by piece. It doesn't appear to be an overly complicated process, so it's not like you're building things brick by brick, which I personally don't love doing. So I like that we still have some flexibility, so you could probably make some really cute and unique structures, but it's not to the detail of like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to make a roof. I can't make a roof. Is that just a me problem? Maybe. And then here we see the character using that lollipop tool to actually place fencing, which is really interesting. Behind the fencing, we can see these lovely yarn balls as bushes. We can also see some succulents, like as an entire garden here. And then over here, we have a lounge chair and a pool. Now this sequence is really interesting because the player character is using a different tool here. It's almost like some kind of water sprayer tool. They're filling the pool up with water, which the water looks lovely, as does literally everything else. But what I thought was really interesting is that once the pool is actually full, a rubber ducky and a little pool floaty pop up, and then the umbrellas also open. So it almost seems like not only will you be building and designing, but you might also have some setup to do with the furniture. And I don't know if I've ever seen that done in a game, but I really love that idea. Like, okay, as I fill up my pool, I get cute little floaties that pop up and everything's kind of like set up. It's like a little kind of vibe. It's a moment. So I really like that if that's actually part of our gameplay. If not, it looks great for the trailer and I can't wait to have a little rubber ducky floaty. Then we go to the interior, and once again, we're going to have a great amount of customization, it seems, in here too. And we have so much to look at because honestly, every single thing almost is a common household object repurposed. So this, I believe, is some sort of just a phone charger, which is being used as the TV stand. And then we get the phone out, which is our TV. We plug it in, and then we hook up some cute little earbuds as speakers for the TV. So that's our little like TV corner. Now also next to the TV, we see a wristwatch, which is being used as almost like a grandfather clock. Then next to that, we have a fridge, but it almost looks like they're like little stacked pillboxes or something like that. There's also, it looks like little matchboxes like stacked to make this little set of drawers. And then next to that, there is a spool of thread with no thread on it, but there's some twine, and this is acting as like a side table. And then we have a chip clip, which is actually holding up the little curtains. That is so cute. Some buttons on the wall as well for decoration. We've got a couple planters. This one is really cute because it has a little like miniature key. It almost looks like one of those diary keys, like the really tiny ones. I love how the stools are made out of buttons and matches as the little legs. And then the coffee table looks like it is a tape measure. It does look like we will be able to center things. It does look like we can place furniture on angles. Of course, we can put stuff on the walls, maybe the ceiling. I don't think we saw anything for the ceiling yet, so not sure on that one. We can put down rugs and layer furniture, which is great. Stuff on stuff. Over on the wall here, we see a bunch of different little stamps, and I think this is probably one of the cutest ideas for wall art. I can just imagine like the possibilities for this are almost endless because you could pop anything on a stamp and it's gonna look super cute. In terms of the seating over on the right here, this actually looks like a jewelry or like ring box. That's like a cute little chair. And then I believe this could be like a glasses case that's acting as a couch. So again, super cute, super genius. Love it, love it, love it. And then of course, I absolutely love how this alarm clock has essentially been repurposed into a cute little like seating nook. So it's an empty alarm clock and it has like some little plushy like cushions in there. I think that's adorable. Then the character places down a mirror, which is an interactable item. And this is where you will be able to change up your outfit. There will also be character customization, and we'll dive deeper into that again in a future video. But here we get to see the different categories of clothing. So it looks like we have almost like preset outfits, because when they select this one, we have like this whole outfit and hairstyle selected. And then when they go to pick a different one, it changes up everything. So it changes up the hat, the hairstyle, the dress, like everything. So it seems like we could preset like favorite outfits, but there are also categories of tops, bottoms, it appears outerwear, and then also maybe like accessories, so hats and glasses and such. There definitely could be other categories too, because like first of all, I don't see a shoes category, and there's definitely like shoes that you can customize and choose separately from the other items of clothing. So yeah, there could definitely be more categories, but this is what we can see here. And we can see a bunch of different hats. So there's like a witch hat, there's a feathered hat, there's like a bucket kind of cap, and then there's a few different variations of this sun hat that have cute little cat ears. There's also some like neckwear, so I don't know if this would also be under the category of accessories here or if it would have its own category, but these are cute little like scarves and a little flowered necklace. And then we have a few different outfits. So we have this beautiful dress, we have this outfit that the character is wearing here. It's a cute little like trench coat and like button-up shirt, tie, little shorts. It's so cute. There's also this could be the dinosaur onesie actually that we saw another character wearing. I believe we might have seen this outfit too on a different character. And then we also have a sweater layered with like a vest here. We also can see this pair of shorts along with 3 different pairs of shoes. So we can also see this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful witchy outfit. I am so obsessed with this. It is so cute. And honestly, how cute is it that the witch's broom is a toothbrush? I think that is so genius and adorable. I definitely need this outfit. This is definitely a need for me. And then we get to see a little combination of some of the items here. So we have this sweater and vest, which looks amazing. Like, look at this scarf. And look at like the little bits of fluff on it. Like everything is so well textured. And it's interesting how some of these outfits have props. So like the witchy outfit had this cute little broom animation, which makes me wonder if that could be like a cosmetic swap for the glider or the skateboard. And then interestingly for this outfit, the character has a little bug net. So I don't know if there will be bug catching. It's just interesting to note that some of those outfits do have these little props. Maybe there is like a handheld prop category too for customization. And then next we get to take a little look at gardening. But I absolutely love the twist on this because honestly, in some ways, I am getting burnt out on like the traditional farming kind of system. And I'm all for something that switches things up, especially if it's more of a garden versus a farm. And I love how this is taking place within these like terracotta pots. This could be on like the apartment's balcony, and now we're just shrunk down, so we see it from this different perspective. But I love how there's these like wooden bridges that are connecting the different pots. And so then we have this little water gun kind of tool again that we were using earlier to fill up the pool, and here we're using it to water the crops. So I love how a lot of these tools are seeming to have like multiple uses and multiple purposes. I think that's really fun. It looks looks like we actually are harvesting strawberries here. They are huge. It hasn't been confirmed what we will do with the strawberries, but here we are bringing one home, and it looks like we are putting it in the fridge. So there definitely could be some kind of like a cooking system. Here we can see the fridge storage. So we have like some prepared food along with some preserves. And then interestingly, we have our Whoopa backpack. So this is like our storage, but it almost looks like our Whoopa cat is the one who's like carrying everything for us, just based off how this is labeled. And so from other gameplay clips, it looks like we will have a tool wheel, but it's interesting to note that this tool is here in this part of our storage. This was the little shovel spork thing we were using to gather the cheese. And then there's also some of those like yarn bushes for decorating. There's one of the chip clips, which is like what we have on the wall, a couple planters, and I'm not sure what this is, but some kind of a maybe furniture piece or something like that. And so this is probably where we can move things, you know, from fridge storage to our backpack, vice versa. There's also some different categories. It's kind of hard to say what these are. This first one definitely looks like it could be related to like home design, so furniture and decor. The last one could be materials. It almost looks like rolls of paper in a box. This one is like 2 arrows pointing each direction. I'm not sure what that could be. Maybe like things we use, like this shovel, or I don't think it would be consumables, but food, like if there was a food category, that would make sense. And so it does kind of seem like there will be cooking because it looks like we've turned that strawberry into a little strawberry cake. And then in the next clip, we're serving a different kind of cake to all of the little animal NPCs. It almost looks like a citrus kind of cake. We're putting on some music. We're having a little dance party. And it does seem like we will actually be able to dance because we have seen footage of emotes, like an emote menu. So it is, you know, this is partly for the trailer, but it's not just for the trailer. We will be able to emote as well and probably dance and such. And then it goes to this clip of, you know, inviting friends over. So while it wasn't explicitly said or anything here, I do think this is to symbolize having friends over in multiplayer. These are 2 of the characters who I speculated were other player characters, not NPCs. They're also wearing some of those outfits we saw in that menu. And then also in the background are their 2 little Whoopa cats. So I do think this is us inviting our friends over. There's another character here playing an instrument made out of a pencil. And what are these called? Those math triangle ruler things? For trigonometry, I forget what those are called. And then this little drum set is made out of a little clock and a couple bottle caps. I just think that's so cute. And then we have these 3 little critters back here again who, I mean, maybe they're not related to the construction stuff. Maybe they're just here for a good time. They're playing like little accordions, which actually look like they could be bendy straws or something, but so cute. So again, the music theme is coming back. And then it looks like we've almost invited the whole town over for a pool party. This was another one of the characters. This is where I was pretty sure we saw that outfit. So this is that like flower necklace, sunglasses on the head. So again, lots of little customization options. There's a giant teddy bear in the back too. That's pretty cool. There's actual balloons like floating up in the sky, and they look like they have like things attached to them. Like this one over here looks like it's carrying a package, and this one looks like it's also like attached to something. So I do wonder if this could be like a gifting system, like how you could send gifts or like receive mail, or if it's just like completely for the trailer or just something random. So I'm not sure about that, but that would be a really unique delivery system, wouldn't it? I think that'd be cool. Also, this character has a little camera, which is cute and kind of suggests at a photo mode, which we see here. So it'll be so fun to take photos on our adventures with friends as well. The trailer ends with us back at this desk. So once again here, now we have way more context, but we can see those little cats, the little wooden robot figures, the little Whoopa cats, all those little doodles again, a new picture actually that we just took. But this time the little toys have also come to life. They're moving around a little bit. So this trailer was incredible. I think it did such a great job at showcasing what the game's like spirit is and what its vision is, and also showing like some gameplay mixed with lore and like just setting the scene in so many ways. So yeah, phenomenal trailer. I could watch it over and over again and probably continue to see new things because especially with this specific concept for the game with everything being like miniature and repurposed and all of that, I feel like you could continue to spot like so many new things because the environments are just so full and like populated, not just with NPCs, but also with so many cool objects. Everything's so vibrant, like detailed, like it just looks so good. So definitely let me know down in the comments what you might have spotted in the trailer, what you're most excited for about this game, curious to know more about, anything and everything. You know I always love hearing from you. If you made it this far into the video, please shine the lovely like button if you enjoyed this full trailer breakdown. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. And until next time, take care.